It looks like a few people joined, so it's time for me to say hello to everyone and welcome in that session. The first one from the Safe Seaweed Coalition to his members. So better late than never, but we were quite busy so far. So we would like to take advantage of this one to tell you everything we've done so far with this team and everything we want to do. But first of all, we would like to introduce you this team. So we'll go to the next slide. And who is behind this Safe Seaweed Coalition? Who makes it work? Who makes it happen? So next slide, please. So in this team, we have, the scientific drive, of course, and you all know him, the one who is really steering the knowledge in this coalition, which is Philippe Potin, our scientific coordinator and the coalition leader. On a day-to-day basis, the coalition is really managed and supported, the engine of this coalition is Kevin Casella here, currently on the phone. So who is really managing the day-to-day basis and taking care of the grant process, of the call for proposals and all the agreement with our awardees. We have also as a communication manager Azedine Badis. He is based in France as well. And support all the communication aspect and so forth. So and he's the one you need to speak with if you want to join the community, have problem with Ubuntu and so forth. We are very, very happy as well to welcome in this coalition. She is not here right now because it's 3 a.m. in the morning, where she lives in Washington, Nicola Dyer, with a very strong asset, with a strong experience in the World Bank, when she was managing the entire agri division. She has now joined the coalition after many years of the World Bank, and she was very frustrated to get retired from the World Bank without working on seaweed. So she, with a lot of enthusiasm, joined the coalition and is provided a lot of support and contacts in Washington, notably, to support the objective of the coalition. And last but certainly not least, the last one who joined us, who just arrived in France and join us for a few months at least, but we expect much more. As an intern, communication intern, Alison, who is also driving the Seaweed Ambassador program that we have launched, and she will tell you a few words about this program in a couple of minutes. And she is also supporting Azedine with comms, and Alison has a background in science and communication. She's based in Georgia, Atlanta. So we have welcomed her in France for a couple of months right now. So, but first, next slide, Azedine, please. First, we would like to have a welcome message from the CEO and executive director of UNGC. She is very well demanded, so it's she normally refuses this kind of request, but because she really supports a lot our action on seaweed. And she has voiced our Seaweed Manifesto and what we did at the last UN Food System Summit. So let me give the floor to Sanda, the CEO and Exec Director from UN Global Compact.
Greetings. I'm Sanda Ojiambo, the CEO and Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact, and I'd like to welcome you all to this session of the Seaweed Coalition. Through the work of the Global Compact Sustainable Ocean Coalition, we've identified that the seaweed industry has the potential to support many of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as to address some of the biggest challenges of our generation. And these challenges include world hunger, climate change, plastic pollution, biodiversity loss, and poverty in coastal communities. Uniting business for a more sustainable world is our fundamental objective. And to unleash the seaweed industry's unique potential and overcome the sector's highly fragmented supply chain, the UN Global Compact, together with the Lloyd's Register Foundation, led the design of the Seaweed Manifesto. And we convened partners to co-create the sector's first collaborative platform, the Safe Seaweed Coalition. By bringing together and supporting all seaweed stakeholders, we take a step further to unleashing the potential of one of the planet's greatest untapped resources. Over the coming years, the UN Global Compact will continue to assume a leadership role in advocating for and leading concrete actions to support the seaweed industry. You can rely on our active engagement to scale up the seaweed business in the most ethical and sustainable manner.
A very strong message from Sanda, who shows that seaweed has reached a level of exposure that is needed, and that now we are supported by the highest level in the UN organization, which is very good. And of course, Sanda cannot be with us because of time difference. It's 3 o'clock in the morning in New York, where she is at the head office of the UN. So equally important is our next speaker, the Director of Skills and Education at Lloyd's Register Foundation, who has supported me a lot at Lloyd's in this journey, and who has been very, very supportive to convince and support this project through the various stages so far, and who became a real seaweed specialist. I think I've learned that he's cooking seaweed at home now. So Tim, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Really appreciate those kind words. And I'm not a seaweed specialist, but I am increasingly intrigued and interested by the importance of seaweed to, as Sanda said, attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. Many of you will be looking at the Safe Seaweed Coalition and the founding partners and recognizing at least two of the names on there, but thinking, who on earth is the Lloyd's Register Foundation and why are they involved? So I just wanted to say a couple of words about that and why seaweed and the Safe Seaweed Coalition is so important from our perspective. The foundation, Lloyd's Register Foundation, is an independent global charity. We support research, we support innovation, and we support education. And all of that is aimed at making the world a safer place. Within our strategy, we identify the safety of food as one of the world's biggest safety challenges. And it's also one of the areas in which we recognize that we could harness the unique assets and strengths of the foundation. Of course, we can't do everything by ourselves, so we've also got an expert steering group that's advising and guiding us, and they're from major industry, from academia, they're policymakers, and so on and so forth. We're not just looking to seaweed as a way of making food more safe and more available and more sustainable to more people. We're also working with organizations like the UN Food and Agriculture Organization to help develop a skills for food safety curriculum, focusing on where those skills are needed in East Africa and the Caribbean. And we're also working with Wageningen University and have done for a number of years, looking at the moment, looking at a program called Safe Seaweed by Design, which is going to develop pilot protocols for the safety of seaweed production. And that's actually a direct overlap with the Safe Seaweed Coalition. So, stepping back for a moment, the foundation strategy has three main goals. We find the best evidence and insight, and that allows us to focus on our second goal, where we can make a distinctive contribution to the world's safety challenges. And then, and this all starts to fall into place, we build global coalitions around our focus areas. So back in 2019, Vincent led one of our evidence gathering exercises. We called this our Foresight review of food safety. And it identified safe food from the ocean, and seaweed particularly, as a sector where the foundation could make a distinctive difference. And like everybody on the call here and everybody in the coalition, we recognized that the growing international evidence for seaweed as a safe and sustainable food source for an increasing global population. But also we saw that the seaweed production industry, particularly outside of Asia, was nascent and fragmented and inefficient. And we saw the real potential to convene and collaborate around safety as a recognized and non-competitive issue. It's important to note that from the foundation's perspective, at no point do we see ourselves as responsible for growing the seaweed market. That's coming. You know, all of your efforts and all of the efforts around the Safe Seaweed Coalition around the world are showing that seaweed is going to be a safe and sustainable source of, a source of food, and a number of other benefits as well. However, we knew that building a coalition of stakeholders, that would drive thought leadership, and it would drive convening power, and it would improve knowledge and expertise, develop new funding initiatives, and influence policymakers, regulators, and importantly as well, consumers. And so we're going to facilitate the emergence of this market that's got an optimized supply chain, that's got global safety standards. And that means that when the seaweed market does arrive and does meet its potential, it's already safe, and nobody's having to try to retrofit standards to ensure its safety. I'm really grateful that Sanda mentioned the Seaweed Manifesto as well. I won't claim undue credit for that. Again, it was some incredibly hard work by Vincent colleagues and the UNGC to write and publish that Seaweed Manifesto. To us, what was really particularly important about it was that it clearly outlined for a global audience is the major spaces in which a range of stakeholders could actually take action. And seeing that manifesto being cited by the UNGC, being cited by a range of different multinationals and by national governments is a real source of continued pride to me and to everybody else at the foundation. And particularly for us, of course, writing of the manifesto confirmed the need for a coalition that's focused on the safety of seaweed. And so as we crossed T's and dotted I's and put things in place, we were absolutely delighted to partner with Philippe and his colleagues at the Station Biologique de Roscoff, a decision that's been more than justified by the unprecedented success so far. And I'm sure you'll be hearing much, much more about during this session. So to sum up, Lloyd's Register Foundation is extremely proud to be a founding partner of the Safe Seaweed Coalition, alongside, of course, the French National Scientific Research Centre, CNRS, and the United Nations Global Compact. And together, I know that we will improve safety knowledge and expertise. We will develop new codes and standards, not just for consumers, not just as a source of food, and not just looking at packaging and supply chains, but importantly, with occupational safety, the people who are going to be working in the seaweed industry, and environmental sustainability, environmental safety and sustainability as well. So I think with that, you've heard more than enough for me, but I'm really looking forward to the rest of the session. I'll hand back to you, Vincent.
Thank you very much, Tim, for these kind words. Very nice, very nice. And the background from Tim was the boardroom of Lloyd's Register in London. So hopefully at some point we will be able to welcome some of you there. A great buildings and a great institutions. So I leave the floor to once again the scientific drive and steer of this initiative. This would have never existed without him as well. So Philippe, my mate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vincent, and I have to start to welcome you by thanking all of you for participating to this digital event. Of course, thank you also for your engagement in the Safe Seaweed Coalition. I would like also to thank the people who have made this coalition possible, and of course, first the Lloyd's Register Foundation for the confidence they provided to me when they asked me to build with Vincent the first coalition, which is funded by the foundation. So it's really an event something which was new for the foundation. And thanks to the efforts of Vincent to work together with UNGC, we started to build the coalition around the Seaweed Manifesto. So it's really strong basis for building this coalition. But of course, as a scientific expert in seaweed for more than 30 years, I was willing to bring to this coalition my scientific expertise and to bring also as much as seaweed scientists in this coalition. I think from the participation we have today to our event, but also for the participation we have seen during the last month in our first call for proposal in our different meetings, I know that the scientific community is engaged with the Safe Coalition. It was stressed by Mrs. Ojiambo and also by Tim Slingsby that the scientific basis of the coalition are very important to support all the objective of the Safe Seaweed Coalition and to tackle all the challenges which the seaweed industry is facing worldwide. I should acknowledge that during the last 30 years, the seaweed sectors was not developing as it probably has done, and it may be to the lack of cooperation in the sector. But this coalition is really to increase the cooperation between us, and I'm really pleased that all of you are engaging for that. This is the main keyword I want to stress for the next year's cooperation between all sectors, which should be, of course, cooperation within the scientific sector, which is traditionally sector in which cooperation exists, but in which also some competition is exacerbated during the last years, and which have also prevented some fruitful cooperation. Of course, cooperation within the industrial sector of seaweeds, and this was stressed by the fact that the potential of working together for a safer sector to work on safety, both the food safety, the environmental safety, and the occupational health of the workers of the seaweed industry will increase the cooperation between the different stakeholders. So I want really to wish you a very good meeting today, but also to provide you with also very good wishes for the next years. For those of you which are already supported by the coalition for working on specific projects to really very successful activities, but also for those of you which will apply this year to increase your engagement. And I'm sure we will increase also the size of the coalition, and we will support much more projects in the future. As Vincent was stressing at the beginning of the meeting, we have for the moment a small team, but we are the ambition to increase the size of the team and to really increase the size of the global coalition. So thank you, and thank you to all the organizations who are supporting us.
Thank you very much, Philippe, for that. So we'll move back to the slides, and so we can give you a quick overview of that was next slide. That was a great year. We had we have generated a lot of expectation, but we remain a very small team. So we did everything we could to meet this fast-growing expectation. So what is our vision? What we, as it mentioned, I will not stay long because Tim and Philippe really nailed it. We want to be scientific driven. We want to be science driven. We want to support a global collaboration, which is very important because we need to accelerate change. I'm not done. So yeah, thank you. So we need to have harmonized standards, which is very important, and we have some great achievements on that. I will come back to this. We want to support environmental safety. We are kicking off some important projects related to that. And we need to attract investors, accelerate change, and coordinate investment as well. That's a very important. So that's our vision. In order to drive this, we have a governance. So we have a steering committee, next slide, and an advisory board. So the steering committee gathers people from FAO, from they will say a word at the end of this meeting, from the World Bank, from Nestle, from various institutions, from Japan, from various countries, from various places around the world. So we have a very well spread and strong steering committee. All our projects, all the proposals that we received for funding are assessed by an equally good pool of people from the advisory board, 18 people all around the world, once again present in 5 continents. And so there's a very clear and transparent evaluation of our project, and the projects that are selected are really clearly assessed by this team of a very global influence. And once again, we wanted to generate knowledge sharing, generate this coordination across the world, and these people, this governance that we gathered every quarter almost is really steering that very well. Next slide. So we started the 17th of March 2021 with the formal launch of this coalition voiced by the Financial Times. We created the highest ever attendance for this type of event for the Financial Times, more than 1,000 live attendees, and we doubled that score in terms of views after this. So it was echoed all around the world by 40 plus medias and in 30 plus countries. That was just amazing. We did not expect it that once again. It was a really good. Financial Times continued this effort and offered her some high-level sessions where we were able to invite very senior exec and governmental people. So that was really a good partnership and a very good launch that set the expectation of this ambition. Next slide. So I will leave this to Azedine to tell you one of the greatest achievements, which is trying to map the seaweed. And you are all key players here, because you need to be part of that movement. You need to be part of that map, which is what we have, the collaborative portal that we have, Ubuntu, which is in the Safe Seaweed Coalition website, which is absolutely free for you to feature your solution, what you're doing, scientific or whatsoever. But Azedine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vincent. Yeah, I will just add a few words, because you already said what's the main objective, but it's much more than a map. In fact, our stakeholder platform is one of our main tools to accelerate collaboration, because everyone, as you may know, in many forums speaking about accelerating change by increasing collaboration and bringing coherence to the value chain of the sector. And that tool that we are having is the Ubuntu platform that allows you to feature your activities, whether the category of stakeholder you are, whether you are from industry, whether you are from the research institutions, whether you are on initiatives. We are very proud and happy to work with the Ubuntu team that is very dedicated. They have their very own dedicated team helping to map all the initiatives and all companies worldwide. When you're joining the Safe Seaweed Coalition, you get redirected to our Ubuntu platform to subscribe. And it's also to help, because the idea is that you can feature your activities. You can also suggest you can recommend the team to reach a company that should be featured on that map. Additionally, it allows for all stakeholders to share their news, and for scientific stakeholders to share their knowledge. So it's a cross-stakeholder platform. It's a very important tool in order for us to bring the different categories of stakeholders together. And I strongly encourage you to subscribe, if not already, and to make it known, because you will hear about Ubuntu in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Azedine. And needless to say that this has a growing interest from investors at the moment who are looking in that platform. We see that there's a growing trend for investment in the seaweed sector. So being there is also a way for you, once again, more than to feature for the supply chain, but also to feature for the investment community, which is why it's important. Once again, it's totally free. There's absolutely no commitment of any kind. We will feature some kind of forum and discussions there. We need to spend more time animating this website, which is yours as well. So feel free to join and to generate some discussions here. Next, please. So what is the coalition today? So we have almost 600 members today in this coalition. We are in 70+ countries, really all around the world. So that's a success, really. We are very happy with this. I think we are by far the first global one, but by far the biggest coalition of this kind in the seaweed sectors. We still have some improvement to make in Asia, notably, where we are lacking traction, mostly because of language issue. We are getting closer and closer with China. We have some very, very good relationship with a high-level institution there. It's getting better. But any help you could give trying to support the presence of our coalition in Asia would be very, very welcome. For the rest of the world, we are very, very well connected. And of course, needless to say that if you want to speak with someone in Namibia, someone in Belize, someone in Mexico, you can always ask one of us or the Secretariat generic address to get in touch with someone there, and we'll try to support you, because our role is also to connect our members together. And we look forward to organize the first sessions for the seaweed stakeholders this summer, but we'll tell you more in a few minutes. Next slide. So what we've done so far, we've done the call for proposal last fall, and we'll have another one next year. So all we did that was that we wanted this to be members driven. We do not know what is needed by the supply chain or by the seaweed industry, what type of funding they need. You know, all of you, you own the answer. So we organized roundtables. We gathered experts by a group of 15 people, like for biopackaging, for environmental issues, for Africa, for on specific topic. We brought together some experts over the first months of the coalition. That was a very exciting, demanding but exciting exercise as well. We organized, I think, almost 15 different roundtables. And out of this discussion, the objective was really to decide what should be funded by this coalition in order to create a real impact. So after this roundtable, we had the call for proposal. There will be twice a year, so one next March, one next fall. We had only a first one, only a big one for 700,000 pounds this year, and we decided, and that was also a decision from these members, to give small grants, not a big one, not 2 million one, but to give relatively small grant from 50 to 60,000 euros, because the objective is not only to fund and to leverage, but also to create a community of awardees, a community of grantees that will work together. And we are very happy by the first batch. So the first call was organized at end of July, and we just completed the process, and we are in the process to finalize signature with awardees. The next slide will tell you more about this call. So these are the awardees. Once again, we received more than 70 applications from 30 plus countries. We selected the top 16. Once again, our advisory board selected the top 16 and suggest them to the steering committee, who did some slight changes, but basically followed the guidance of the advisory board. We granted 700,000 euros this year. To be the same next year. And we are very, very proud of this various project, because I mean, we are working with biopackaging, we are working with food safety, we are working with social business, not only with the Yunus Foundation. So we have very wide range of activities, and it's a very exciting set of people. We had to decline some very, very nice projects, but once again, you can compete twice. That's no problem. So hopefully the next one will be good, because really, I mean, it was very, very tight for the top 50. It was, they were very close. So there will be more next year, and we can go forward. Next one. So we have a global influence that is very strong. We have a global influence here. We participated to the UN Food System Summit. We participated to the UN Food System Science Day. We are part of the Global Food Coalition. We are official member. We are part of the Aquatic Food Coalition, the Sustainable Working Group for Aquaculture, and so forth. So we are really part of all this discussion, which is very good, and we have been part of this UN Food System dialogues. Next one. We have a global influence as COP26 as well. We've been very influential there. We released the seaweed as a natural-based solution, the vision statement, which was very much welcome, and we are contributing right now to build the first credit mechanism for carbon sequestration out of seaweed. So you can really get funding to sequester carbon with seaweed. That will be very important. We have the first outcome next March at the Monaco Ocean Week with our partner from Ocean 2050. Another very strong achievement that we should be proud of is we convinced and we supported the decision by FAO to put, because we need harmonization of the safety standards, we need harmonization of the safety regulation. So we convinced the FAO to work on a global regulation that will be put at the Codex Alimentarius level, the highest authority in terms of food safety regulation, and all the member states, so all the UN members, should abide by this regulation. So the FAO asked us to define who should be part of this working group, which was we were very proud of this, to design this regulation. So we had to gather experts from all around the world, from our members community, and building this first ever global regulation for seaweed and food safety, which once again is highly needed to scale up that industry. Next. So we had a strong media impact. No need to say that we were having, and it's ongoing as well. We are working on a big one with the New York Times as we speak. We were invited in TEDx, in many different UN events. So a lot of publication and a lot of media attention. So very, very good. And I think we see that this seaweed revolution is not a concept anymore. It's really coming. So it's very good. Next one. So moving to the look forward, what will happen next year? So next year, our focus will be to fund. So we want to support a safe and scaled up seaweed industry. and we want to have targeted funding. That's important. We will be very selective in our funding. We want to decide what we want to fund. We want to advocate. We need to keep advocating because we need to educate people that seaweed is a huge library with a lot of solutions, with a lot of books, with a lot of solutions, but hardly any people can read these books. So we need to learn these books. We need to learn these seaweed solutions to survive, because that's also a way for our generation to survive, I think. Science, all what we do, everything we do should be driven by science. We don't want to replicate what has been done on land with monoculture, GMO, and industrial farming. So we need to make sure that science is driving this. We need to make sure that there's no problem with ecosystems, that we are not deteriorating, impacting negatively the environment. That will be and will remain very core in our objectives and in our pillars. Next one. So in terms of funding, once again, as I mentioned, another round in spring should be open mid-March. Sorry, so please follow this advancement and stay tuned with the coalition. We'll have another round in fall. Each time we will select 7 to 9 projects, so we can have roughly the same, and they will join the cohort of awardees from the coalition. And all these projects needs to leverage. They need to be done in partnership. The number of countries that was shown in the previous slide is not really illustrating well the variety of countries that are involved, because each project is very often done in collaboration with other countries, and that's something we value very much. We want to leverage. We want this project we want to be a seed funding for many other investors, and we want this project to work collaboratively across countries. So that's very important. And we will have our first awardees kickoff meeting on the 8th of February in order to bring together our awardees, and so that each and every project, every small project is really 1 + 1 = 3, and they work together and deliver a stronger impact. Next one. So I will leave the floor on this one, which is a very strange initiative. I should say, we leave the floor to Alison to tell a bit more what is the ambassador program actually, and the rationale that we've been approached by many people who are saying, okay, your message is so positive, it's so good, and we need that, and we like that, and how can we support you? We are from Belize, we are from Gambia, we are from all of our previous one. I will leave the floor to so we decided to launch this ambassador program that is now part of the coalition. So Alison, the floor is yours to explain in a few words quickly, because we're running late. What is this ambassador program?
Thank you, Vincent. Like you said, the Seaweed Ambassador Program was born as we kept meeting people who are passionate about the seaweed revolution, looking for ways to support through their own messaging, whether or not they are in the industry. We now have 13 individuals across 5 countries and at least 7 nationalities who are part of our inaugural cohort of Seaweed Ambassadors. They share news about seaweed and its massive potential, both as a sustainable solution and as a food source on their social media, with their friends and family, and within their professional networks. They also attend events and ask about seaweed within their circles. We had our first Seaweed Ambassador orientation in December, and we are constantly working on ways to keep the ambassadors connected with one another and stakeholders in the industry by providing them with seaweed information. If you know anyone who would be interested in becoming a seaweed ambassador, please reach out to a secretariat member or myself, and we will be happy to pass along the information, and I'll put my contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alison. And yes, they will be formally recognized on the website. There will be their bios and so forth. And we expect, because if we need, if we want to put in place a revolution, if we want to lead a revolution, then we will need more than the 6 of us. We will need more than the entire seaweed community. We need to go beyond that. So we welcome any, once again, people volunteer to support us, and it's great. Next one. So among the upcoming events of interest that we wanted to highlight, because once again, we are now invited as the voice of the seaweed community, and we want this voice to be heard, and we will voice it very loud. So we are invited by President Emmanuel Macron, who leads the EU presidency and who organized a big One Ocean Summit in 2 weeks' time. So I'm invited to speak there along with the Minister of Ecology from France, Mauritania, and Germany to voice the potential of seaweed at the One Ocean Summit in 2 weeks' time. Once again, it's a very, very exclusive summit because it's only 300 people gathered on a boat in Brest. And about 20 head of states will visit us. The entire government will be here. So it's a very, very high level meeting, and we are very proud to be part of it and to have our voice there and to spread the message. So I think it's very, very good. We set up a very strong relationship with Peter Thompson, notably at the last conference, at the last COP. Peter Thompson is a UN ambassador for the ocean. He's very influential all around the world. And he really realized the full potential of seaweed, that it was way more than just food, and he's now really supporting us very, very strongly. So we have access to the government, the head of states, and that's very, very good as well for all of us. Another highlight will be the Monaco Ocean Week, and we'll see the detail of all these events later, but we just wanted to give some spotlight on that one. The Monaco Ocean Week will be an occasion to bring together the European seaweed community. We will organize hopefully a seaweed day in collaboration with Ocean 2050 and Seaweed for Europe, where we will gather our members. Ocean 2050 should hopefully release the official communication for the level of carbon sequestration in seaweed farms, which will drive to the recognition of seaweed as a way to mitigate climate change. So that should be a very nice event, and we hope to have a lot of our European communities there to join. Of course, the highlight of the year will be the UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon next June. So we will have the entire ocean community there. And we will have, once again, we have secured some very important presence. What we would like to do in partnership with UN Global Compact, we are still to work on it, but what we would like to do is to organize our first seaweed gathering all our members, organizing a one-day session with an evening dinner with all our members being there. So hopefully some of them at least. So invite you all. And I think the importance of that would be that first of all, we can get together over one day, but the rest of the week you can stay there and connect with even if you are or not accredited for the UN Ocean Week is not very important, because everybody will be in Lisbon and being, having attended to many COPs and UN events of this kind. The most important is to be in the city, because the most important is happening in evenings, dinners, and so forth, which is outside of the official accreditation place. So once again, we'll come back to you on that, but we would really like to organize at the last, actually that's not the last week of June. The dates are wrong here. The last week of June, from the 27th to the 1st of July in Lisbon, the Ocean Week, and hopefully the first Seaweed Coalition Day, inviting all our members. And of course, COP27 will be very, very important. Seaweed is perceived as a way to mitigate climate change. We need to work on this. We need to define tools and support funding on that. And COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, will be a keystone. We will have also some other events. So we have the full list in the next slide, I think. Oh no, we have no. That's yeah. Thank you very much. So that's the full list of events that we have. As you can see here, we will have the World Aquaculture Summit in San Diego, which is a huge event gathering 4,000 people, where Philippe will deliver a talk on. He's invited to open a seaweed day organized by our seaweed stakeholders in the US. We will have the Economist World Ocean Summit, which will not be virtual, unfortunately. So first round of proposal, Monaco Ocean Week, working group with the Jeff and the Asian Development Bank. We'll come back to this. Bezos fund. Bezos has granted $100 million to support the seaweed industry and the seaweed social licensing, notably. They granted that to WWF, and we are working with WWF and invited to the launch of this project in April. We will work with the FAO, of course. We have the Lloyd Register Foundation annual summit in London. There will be a dedicated seaweed session. It's gathering a lot of high-level people in London. So it's very good to have our seaweed session there, and we will have a lot of seaweed people hopefully there as well. So we will be part of the Global Food Safety Initiative in Barcelona in Spain, which is the highest level for the initiative in the food safety business. Seaweed around the clock, great initiative. 24 hours of conferences will be part of it as well. The World Ocean Day on the 8th of June, of course. We will be in Lisbon for the UN Ocean Summit, and hopefully the Safe Seaweed Coalition Summit as a side event of this Lisbon event. We want to be part of the UN high-level political forum. We will be part of the UN General Assembly in New York, which will hopefully this year be in presential for the first time in 2 years. A second round of proposal in October. The FAO Committee on Food Security, the CFS, which is really trying to mitigate the food insecurity in the world, which will be in Italy. And of course, early November, as we say, the COP27. So that will be the big event that we are part of. Once again, the next one is really in 2 weeks' time in Brest, and that will be a key event. And to spotlight a bit the main event that we have, the main partnership that we have, Friend of Ocean Action, of course, we mentioned that the GEF, which is part of the World Bank with us, is supporting the development of a global standard for environment and occupational safety in Southeast Asia. Big funding from the GEF in partnership with the Asian Development Bank. So we are part of it. We are driving this as well. WWF has a lot of projects also related to the Bezos Earth Fund, but not only. We are working with them. The IFC is launching some interesting investigation in Africa. So we are working with them as well to support the development of the seaweed industry in Africa. And Seaweed for Europe and other coalition, of course. We always say we do not want to replace coalition. We want only to focus on safety and to bring together this coalition. Ideally, we'd like to be a coalition of coalition, bringing together all these people. So the more coalition we have, the better it is. We have good news for European coalition with a big funding from EU, working at the EU for Algae project that will be driven by many coalitions from Europe. So that's very good news for everyone. We are converging and we are going in the same direction. I think it's shaping up very well. I think the next is for some questions or opening for some questions. I think we're right on time. Yes. Good.
Yeah, we are right on time. Yeah, we have 15 minutes left, so we will have 10 minutes of Q&A. But just before, we have a poll, and I would like to invite all of you to answer some three simple questions, but that shall be very important for us. So I will launch it, 3 questions, and just answer the most clearly you can. So I'm launching it. So can you see the poll?
Yes, I mean, I can.
Thank you. Let us show the results. So can you see the results? Okay. So most of you have heard about us from a friend or colleague. That's a good thing because we are a community. We are the core here. So it's kind of normal, but it's very useful. 51% of you have heard about us from a friend or colleague. And just after on social media and through another source that is still unknown. Okay. Then what method? Okay, so you love webinars. 50% of you want us to interact through webinars. So it's a good lesson for us. Okay, so it's a good start and we shall do more in the future. And working groups and real life. Okay, social platforms. Okay. So we will be more humane and make more webinars, and where we should focus on industry by 51%. Okay, so here are the whole results. Thank you all. So now we have 15 minutes left.
Yeah. So we are, as you can see, we are a very naive and candid organization because we have not prepared any question from any members.
Yeah, and no one used
which means that we are very clear. So just to answer one question that is quite recurrent, yes, we will send the presentation, of course, and to all participants, and the session is recorded, so you can view it online or share it with colleagues or friends, so you can see what we are doing. So it looks like we have been very clear on our objectives and on the way forward. Once again, we want to be members driven. So don't hesitate to come to us. Don't hesitate to generate some discussions on the website. I think that's a great way for improvements in the website, which should become the website of the seaweed community. And we really want to develop this. We acknowledge that we have little time for webinars. I think an important takeaway for me is that, yeah, you want more webinars, you want more communication of this kind. I think it's important. We had little time to do this because we had to set up that from scratch. The next 2 years of the, just let me say something about the next 2 years of the coalition, which will be critical because we will have to leverage funding for the coalition as such. The coalition is funded by the Lloyd Register Foundation. It's not designed to remain only funded by the Lloyd Register Foundation, definitely not. We want to have other funders, be it government, be it private, be it science organization, whatever. But we want to have other funders in order to sustain the coalition after this, the next 2 years. So that will be part of our exercise. And once again, we need the support of our community here. So if you have some good ideas, we welcome all these good ideas to get some support in order to continue this quite unique and very encouraging initiative. So with no further delays, then I will leave the floor to one of our biggest partner, which is the FAO. Alessandro, can you are muted and we cannot see you, but I think you are the one to deliver us a message and a closing remark on that one. Yeah, here you are. So Alessandro Lovatelli from the FAO, which is a real seaweed specialist, and we will say a word about what the FAO stands is. FAO is also part of our steering committee and a very active members of the coalition. Alessandro, the floor is yours. We cannot see you, which is a shame because we like to see you.
Yes, good morning, Vincent. I'm trying to switch on my camera, but apparently I don't have, you have to open it from your side.
We can see you now, that's okay.
Can you? Okay, good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. I cannot see myself, but anyway. Well, first of all, good morning to good evening and good afternoon to all of those of you who are attending this this event. Let me start by saying that if the coalition continues after the funding of the, let's say, the funding provided by the Lloyd Foundation, let's say within the next 2 years, then I think that we can say that we probably have succeeded in the work that we are doing. So I look forward seeing how things develop in the future, and I'm very confident that we will be able to succeed in our intentions. First of all, I would also like to say that FAO definitely welcomes and support the establishment of this coalition. It's a way of bringing industry, and when I say industry, I mean all stakeholders which are interested in this particular industry on the same platform. And I think it's for the first time ever that there is a platform where people can join in, share information, share knowledge, and this is extremely important. When it comes to aquaculture development or consumption of seaweed or the utilization of seaweed for food and other products, there are differences across the globe, with certain parts of the globe that are way more advanced, which have been traditionally using farming seaweeds more than others. But there are other countries that are interested and definitely have the potential to produce seaweed, to benefit local communities, to give employment, to create business opportunities at the local level. So, as I said, we definitely welcome this, this important platform. I would say that this is my own personal consideration. I would say that it's important that the platform itself, whether it's the coalition or through Ubuntu, does not only provide, let's say, general information. We have to go into a certain depth. We have to provide information, like Vincent said, that is applied science, is based on science. However, I think on the long term, for those people joining the coalition, companies, research institutions, academia, what have you, it's important that the site provides also some access to tools, guidelines, something which they could say, okay, I can make use of this, rather than just saying, rather than using the platform only for showing what they're doing to network. I think it should eventually provide some tools that they can guide their company development, their country sector development, or what have you. So I think this is something that the platform and may develop as they go. It goes on over time. Now, I would also like to repeat what Sanda Ojiambo mentioned. I think seaweed can definitely contribute to the outcome of many of the SDG, absolutely. And I think it's important through this initiative that we could probably see the scaling up of seaweed aquaculture across the world, especially for those countries that I mentioned earlier that have the potential but don't have the knowledge or experience to actually gain it through this mechanism, and to ensure that there is a sustainable development of the sector. That's most important. And then also, I would say, an ethical development, as mentioned by Ojiambo herself. So I think although the Safe Seaweed Coalition is focusing on safety issues, I think we may see it going well beyond that, beyond safety issues at all. And and it's obviously the collaboration that it has with the FAO Codex Alimentarium is extremely important. What I would like to add is that it's important that we ensure that that we can attract the private sector engage in this industry and make them feel comfortable in providing their information, in joining this coalition. So I personally think that there are many companies out there that may have may be worried in sharing their information and knowledge because they're worried about competition or what have you. I think it must be very clear. The message must be very clear to these companies that this is something for the benefit of everyone. Media impact is very important. I think joining high-level events is important to get governments aware of this potential, and maybe ensure the governments or international organizations, regional organizations will allocate funding for either the coalition itself or for applied research activities which are needed in many parts of the world. When I say applied, it also means, trying to help countries to move forward in their aquaculture industry. I just want to give you a very quick example. Vincent, close me up if I'm talking too much. But I grew up in Kenya and East Africa, and I'm very well aware of what happened in Zanzibar with the introduction of Yukuma farming. This industry has gone on for many years. I know that Flower is working with us, and she's from the region. She's from the country, from Tanzania herself. So, but the farmers, which are mainly women in Tanzania, have never really benefited so much from the seaweed industry, simply because the market was one. There was one buyer, for one use, and so they were actually in the hands of one or two buyers that made life very difficult to these people. So I think it's time to maybe show countries how best seaweed can be utilized otherwise. For example, of course, coming from FAO, I think the fact that we deal with food security, and seaweed can provide an amazing source of food if you know how to use it, if you know how to process it, etc., etc. So I think it's important to help countries where they have a food security issue, where they have an issue with micronutrients, to show them how these products can be used rather than just being a raw material for export for some big industry elsewhere around the world. So I think it's important to do this. Now, as I said, promotion of what we do is important. Attendance of these high-level events, I think, is extremely important. But I think also we should focus also to go into, you know, let's say international or regional events which are more down at the grass level, at the field level. And for example, some like the one you mentioned, the World Aquaculture Summit, but there are many events like this from the World Aquaculture Summit. For example, in Europe, in September here in Italy, there will be the European Aquaculture Society event in Rimini. So I'm suggesting that, you know, maybe in collaboration with the Safe Seaweed Coalition, to prepare, let's say, a catchy PowerPoint that could be used by a one-time ambassador that attends these events and promotes what we are doing, because, you know, it's important that the message goes out there and people know of the existence of this Seaweed Coalition. I think, you know, by creating this platform, and we have all the tools, by strengthening this platform, to strengthen this international collaboration with the tools that we have today, it's really timely. So we, as FAO, remain super interested in collaborating. As you know, allow me to just say a few things. This is the International Year of the Artisanal Fisheries, Small-Scale Fisheries, Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture, where seaweed, small-scale seaweed farmers is important. So I invite you all to look at the IAFA website and see how we can do and collaborate on activities which are seaweed focused. In May, like already mentioned by Vincent, there will be the subcommittee on aquaculture in Mexico. This is an important governing body for us, where we bring countries together and countries guide the work that FAO should do. And for the first time, I would say for many years now, that the subcommittee on aquaculture will be presenting a paper on seaweed to raise the attention on the importance of seaweed. And we hope that countries will be supportive and also willing to provide funding for activities which are needed through FAO, through collaborative actions like working with the coalition itself. And finally, FAO, the aquaculture, the Fisheries and Aquaculture Division, has started a series of dialogues with policy dialogues with countries which have an interest in seaweed aquaculture utilization and trade and so on. So all this information will be shared and made available. So we try to play our part in moving forward this subsector of the aquaculture industry. Vincent, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alessandro, for your talk and inspiring comments. It's very good to, and we do agree with you, we need to have a more local presence as well, regional presence. It was mentioned the first Seaweed Academy in UK and so forth, which has been funded by the government. So the Seaweed Coalition, Safe Seaweed Coalition, will be there as well, supporting that, the launch, and there's many local initiatives that we need to support and be part of. We are also discussing the creation of a scientific committee that could give some advice on some critical questions related to seaweed. That's something we'd like to host as well at some point. Once again, we've got many ideas, but we look forward to receive your ideas, your comments, and to you all, because once again, we want to be your voice. We want to be bottom-up, members driven, and we want to represent our member. So thank you very much for everything. We look forward to speaking with you a bit more directly over the next year, and hopefully in presential through a real face-to-face meeting, just like we did in 2019 and before. See you very soon. I think we are opening the first page of a very nice book, and we will be all very proud to say that we were part of this story in a couple of years, where seaweed will be much more mainstream than it is right now. So thank you all, great pioneers of this story. And we are all very, very glad to work with you on a daily basis, and very, very happy to be part of that journey. Thank you very much, and speak soon. Bye.